Hey there, Grace Kids. It's good to see you again this week. I hope you're ready for another great lesson about Jesus' power. But first, we are going to start off with a really fun song. If you're still trying to wake up, this will certainly do the trick. You might even work up a sweat. Ready? Here we go.
In the morning, I look outside and see all of your beautiful creations. They remind me of your love for me. You gave and still you're giving to me. So I'll live my life so people can see that I'm going B-O-N-K-E-R-S for you. I'm going B-O-N-K-E-R-S for you. Time, Lord, every day, Lord, I know you're close to me. You fill me up with so much joy that it overflows so supernaturally. You gave and still you're giving to me. So I'll live my life so people can see that I'm going B-O-N-K-E-R-S for you. 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 You're so good to me, it's plain to see. Can't keep it all inside of me. No, you're so good to me, it's plain to see. Can't keep it all inside of me. Inside of me. I'm going B-O-N-K-E-R-S for you. 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 Going bonkers for you. B-O-N-K-E-R-S for you. B-O-N-K-E-R-S. B-O-N-K-E-R-S. B-O-N-K-E-R-S.
Wasn't that fun? Focusing on Jesus with songs like that really help us when we may be feeling a little down. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm really starting to miss people that I'm usually around and I haven't seen in a while. It's hard to be away from people that we care about. Today, we're going to hear about a man who had a sickness called leprosy. And like the coronavirus, people were afraid of catching it. So this man had to stay away from his family and friends. But Jesus helped him. And Jesus' power helps us too when we're lonely. Before we get started, let's grab all the supplies you'll need. You'll need a piece of paper, markers or crayons, a ruler or a yardstick like this, or a tape measure, a clear container about 1/3 of the way full of water. It can be a bottle, like a clear water bottle, or a food container, but it's ideal if it has a tightly closed lid on it. And then you'll also need some cooking oil. I'll wait while we pause the video and you can gather your supplies. Now, let's just take a minute to talk about some God sightings. How have you seen God at work this week? For me, I saw God at work through people. On the news, I saw people clapping and cheering for healthcare workers. I saw people hosting drive-by birthday parties or birthday parties that they played over Zoom. They played games, they hung out, they used Zoom to connect there. I saw groceries being delivered to people's doorsteps. God is at work through people like you and me. What about you? Pause the video as you share some God sightings with your family. Even with all those great things God is doing right now, there are still a lot of hard things too. I wonder, what's been the hardest thing for you about this whole coronavirus situation? I'll be honest with you. For me, it has been all the changes we have had to make and wondering if things will ever get back to normal. But then I have to remember that God is in control, even though I may not understand what's going on. He will guide me through it. Pause me as you share with your family about what's been hard for you. Talk about that now. One of the hardest things for many people is not being able to see friends or other family members, like cousins or aunts and uncles. My husband's mother has been in a different country this whole time. She went to visit family and had to stay because she wasn't allowed to travel home. We usually see her a couple times a week, but we haven't seen her for 2 whole months. So I miss her. What about you? Who do you miss? Now, don't pause me for this one, okay? Just go ahead and call out who you miss the most right now. Say that person's name out loud and I'll do it with you. Ready? Can you think of your person? I'm sure they come to mind pretty quickly. Okay, you ready? 1, 2, 3. Maria! Yeah, being separated from all these people we care about can make us feel lonely. But Jesus' power helps us when we're lonely. So, let's hear how Jesus' power helped a man in the Bible who was probably very lonely. Back in Bible times, there was a disease called leprosy. If you got it, you would get painful sores all over your body. There was no cure, and often people who caught it would die, or they would lose fingers and toes. People were afraid of catching it, much like people today are afraid of catching the coronavirus. So, what are some things that we're supposed to do right now to avoid catching the coronavirus? Go ahead and pause the video and list as many as you can. One thing we're supposed to do is wash our hands really well. So, let's pretend to wash our hands while we sing the ABCs. I gotta say, I've gotten really good at this, and my hands are proof. They're pretty dry. But that's a good thing, right? Okay, so ready? We're going to wash our hands as we sing the ABCs. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Now I know my ABCs. Next time, won't you sing with me? Okay, rinse them off. Dry them. All right. Well done, friends. Okay, we're supposed to also stay away from other people. That is called social distancing. I'm sure you've heard that term a lot lately. Well, we're being told that to stay safe from catching the coronavirus, we're supposed to be 6 feet away from anyone else when we are outside of our homes. Let's try that inside our homes right now. Get your ruler or your tape measure or your yardstick, and let's measure and make sure everyone in the room is standing or sitting at least 6 feet apart. If you have a yardstick, it's 2 of these yardsticks. So for me, we have the table and then another. Am I going outside the frame? See, 6 feet is outside the frame. All right, if you don't have a ruler, you can kind of just guess or make a good estimate. Maybe somebody in your family has big feet, so you could count out 6 of their steps. Okay, pause the video while you do that. 6 feet apart, everyone. Well, people in Bible times knew all about social distancing. In fact, they were so afraid of catching leprosy, it was against the law for someone with leprosy to even come into the city. And if someone with leprosy was around people, he or she had to call out, "Unclean, unclean," so everyone around would know to stay away. No one wanted to accidentally touch that person with leprosy. All those rules must have made people who had leprosy feel pretty lonely. Let's try something. Without losing your 6 feet of separation, reach out and try to hug the other people in your family. Now remember, you can't lean in and get any closer than 6 feet. I'll try and reach out and hug you while you try and reach out to hug your family members. Ready? Go! You know, unless you have really long arms, you aren't even able to touch anyone. No hugs, no pat on the back, just you in your own little bubble. Now, friends, stay where you are. And here's a question for you to talk about. How do you think it would feel to have to be this far apart from everyone? Not for a few weeks or a few months, but for years. It could be pretty lonely. You can't be close enough to hug anyone for a very long time. But let's see what Jesus did when he met someone with leprosy. If you want to follow along, look up in your Bible, Matthew chapter 8, verses 1 to 3. While Jesus walked along, a man with leprosy came up to him out of the crowd. The man knew Jesus had the power to heal him, so he said to Jesus, "Lord, if you are willing, you can heal me. Please make me clean." Jesus reached out his hand and touched the man and answered, "I am willing. Be clean." And just like that, the man was healed. Wait, did you hear what Jesus did? Let me say it again. Jesus touched the man. This man probably hadn't had a hug or a high five or a pat on the back or anyone touch him at all for a long time. Then Jesus touched him. Jesus wasn't afraid of getting leprosy. Jesus knew his power was greater than any disease, leprosy or the coronavirus. Jesus knew that not only did this man's body need healing, but his heart needed healing too. This man needed to feel Jesus' love right there on his arm or his shoulder or his head, wherever Jesus touched him. He needed a loving touch to heal his loneliness. We need to be wise and protect ourselves from sickness right now. But being separated from people can make us all feel lonely. And it's good to talk about that. So let's do that now. Go ahead, come back together. No more social distancing. No more 6 feet apart. Who do you know that might be feeling lonely right now? And how could you reach out to them? Pause the video now as you talk about that. Ready? Pause. Well, thanks for sharing. We can reach out to help people when they're lonely. In fact, I have an idea. There are people living in nursing homes right now that are feeling pretty lonely. A nursing home is a place where mostly elderly people are taken care of. Because of coronavirus, no one is allowed to visit them, not even their families. So, let's be Grace Kids on mission. I would like each of you to draw a picture and with your parents, write a little note that would encourage them. Bring those pictures and notes to the church office this week or mail them to the church. You could even scan it and email it to me. I will collect them all and see that they are delivered to a nursing home in our area. Oh, I know the people there will appreciate this so much. Your cards and pictures will definitely help them overcome their loneliness. By doing that, you are showing Jesus' love to them. And Jesus' power helps us when we're lonely. He's always right there with us to comfort us and to strengthen our hearts. One way Jesus' power helps us when we're lonely is to remind us that Jesus is our friend. No matter what's going on right now, you always have a friend who is right there next to you, not 6 feet away. That friend is Jesus. Let's sing a song about that right now. Everybody, stand up and sing about our friend Jesus. What a great reminder of our friend Jesus. The people in Jesus' time didn't want people with leprosy mixing in with anyone else. I have a fun mix-it-up science experiment that we can try to help us think more about that. So, it's time to use your oil and your clear container of water. Let me move these things around so I can get, there we go. Don't want to get any oil on the Bible, right? Okay, so if everybody doesn't have their own supplies, that's okay, because you can share, right? We can do that. We can share with each other without any fighting. In fact, you can do it a couple times, too. You can just pause the video, pour it out, and do it again. So, right now, we're going to start with the experiment. Pour some oil into your container so there's about the same amount of oil as there is water. All right, if you can, close the container tightly. Okay, you may, before you do this next thing, you may want your mom or your dad or another adult to double check and make sure that that lid is on tight. Now, for 10 seconds, shake the container, or if you don't have a lid, you can stir it up. All right, 10 seconds, I'll count down. Ready? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stop. Put your container down. All right, let's take a look at our mixture. We've mixed it up really good, but let's see what happens as it settles down. While we're waiting to see what happens, pause the video and talk about this with your family. What do you miss most because you're separated from others right now? I know my daughter, Caitlin, misses not being able to play basketball or ultimate frisbee or just hang out with her friends. Well, let's check our mixture. It doesn't look like the oil and the water are really mixed up, does it? It seems like the oil and the water want to stay separate. I think they're practicing social distancing. Oil and water naturally want to separate, but it isn't so natural for us. Being separated from others can make us feel lonely. But we can turn to Jesus for help because Jesus' power helps us when we're lonely. Even though we're separated from a lot of our friends, we still have our family here with us, and we can still connect with people online. If it's healthy for you, go ahead and gather with your family for a nice group hug. And if it's not safe to hug someone right now, try giving a long-distance hug, or maybe you could even blow a kiss. And while you're doing that, thank Jesus for each person in your family by name. Ready? Pause the video while you do that. You know, focusing on the people Jesus has put in our lives, even in this hard time, can help us feel less alone. That's one way Jesus' power helps us when we're lonely. So when this video ends, remember, draw a picture and write those notes for the people in the nursing home. Remember to get them to me this week. You will really be sharing the love of Jesus with them.